13-year-old just defeated a 2-600 FIDE Grandmaster in just 13 moves with an opening trap, as we're about to see right here. This is a game played between the youngest Grandmaster at the moment, youngest Dogmas, playing against a former World Junior Champion, Diamond Sadvakasov. And this was played in the FIDE World Rapid Team Championship in Kazakhstan. We can see the opening here is a Trompovsky, whereby it's given up the bishop pair. Does have a nice central space and also a nice lead in development. Black continues playing it quite solidly, just d6, c6, trying to build up a solid formation here on the sixth rank. It's worth pointing out that here Black does have other moves they can play. That the move g5 and trying to hold back f4 is another plan that Black can go for. It does still give us a target where we can try to bring the rook in the game and create some initiative in that way. And there's some other moves like knight d7 and also g6 that can be played in different orders. But I find against these subs that an f4 approach tends to work well. We're just able to grab a lot of space and just get a really strong initiative. So the move c6 tries to be flexible, but it does have its problems as well, as we will see in the game, where Black plays a move of e5 and White decides to keep the tension here with the move of knight f3. You can also play d5 and push ahead, but knight f3 is what sets the trap, because here Black actually has to be quite careful, and this is a trap that at least 15 Grandmasters have fallen into. If you're wondering what Black should do in this position, Black should probably play the move of bishop to e7 and just get the king castled. White's going to go for some kingside attack and definitely have decent attacking chances overall. But how about Black having the bishop pair and a foothold in the center, it's true that his position is also objectively not so bad here. And he can try also get some counterplay himself on the queen side with the opposite side castling, as it were. Also, a move like bishop g4, not the worst move either, just to simplify things. But instead, Black plays a move knight d7 in the game, which on the surface seems like a very natural move just to block the d file. But after d takes c5, if Black does play knight e5, again, you get the space advantage and you get quite a strong initiative with your development and your space in the center. But instead, Sadvakasov plays d takes e5. And if you want to try and figure out the move that Edogmus played here, Edogmus, of course, being the youngest grandmaster in the world at 30 years of age, and actually he, was I think the youngest player ever to break a live FIDE rank of 2-600. But yeah, if you want to try and find a movie you played, this is not a bad moment to either pause the video or even better, put in the comments below what move you would play in this position. And then you can compare, the move you'd play with the one that Odogmus did. So a really great move here by White is, and actually if you don't find this move, Black's actually just going to be much better with the lead in development, with like the bishop pair and White not having the space in the center. But it turns out only knight b5 turns the tables on Black. And the idea of this knight b5 move, which actually, I'll tell you guys a funny little story that two of my past private chess coaches, like the first I ever worked with, actually they played against each other, and one of them actually played this against the other and got a winning position and won the game. And the idea is if Black takes the piece, that basically Black just loses the knight one way or the other, because let's say you play Queen e6, White has a little knight takes e5 trick, allowing us to get in with bishop d7, and obviously if they take it's mate, but also if king e7, you are getting back the piece. As rook takes c8 does allow queen d7 and this fork, as it were. And White will be up in exchange when the dust settles. So to try to avoid this, Black plays the move. Well, he plays king d8 in the game, which already looks kind of bad when your king is stuck in the center. But the problem is if you play queen d8, White then has this blow of knight takes c5, just using the the default win material. And you've already seen how if Black takes this knight, that they just lose a knight on d7 and lose the game. So Black goes king d8, and White continues to go ahead with the attack, playing the move of queen to a5. Technically, can also play queen c3 immediately. This also technically works. We try to get in on the e5 and d7 as before, but the way of playing the game is also pretty good. Queen a5 forcing move b6, and yeah, after queen c3, Black is facing definitely some problems because with the pin on the file here, White is threatening to play knight takes c5 and just win a pawn and attack c6 and d7. Trying to avoid this, black came up with a move a6, asking white what he's going to do about the attack on his knight. Because again, if black were to take the knight immediately, then yeah, we're just running into this knight e5 and bishop d7, which black can't really do a lot about. If he tries to block with the d file bishop d6, we've got queen c6 to fork the rook and the bishop at the same time and win back the material with interest. So after a6, if you're enjoying the video as well, do make sure, by the way, to like and subscribe. But this is the move where white basically establishes a winning advantage. Because here he found the really great move of knight to d6. And if black were to take that knight, and there's not really much alternative, then queen c6 comes, and again we fork the rook and the bishop, where if they do save the rook, yeah, we're up a pawn, we've got an attack on the king. So it is just going to be a winning position for white in short order. Just bring the rook in and even potentially taking the pawn with check and using the pin on the d7 knight to our advantage in the worst case. But in the game, black made a final blunder, and okay, to be fair, his position's pretty bad regardless. But king c7, this play in the game does run into the knight e8 fork, and against this, Savakasov did indeed resign. And yeah, not every day do you see a 2-6-2-9 feed AGM lose in just 40 moves of the black pieces. Like I said, with this trap we saw with d5 and knight b5, this is one that at least 15 grandmasters have fallen into. So if you're playing against a grandmaster or even against the average club player or online opponent, then yeah, you might like to give this one a try because there's a fairly decent chance for getting on the board. And it's also one of these traps that even if they do avoid it, you still end up getting a pretty decent position because the Tromposky is a pretty good opening after all. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this training. If you did, do make sure to like the video so I know to do more like this one. And also with my YouTube content, I'm kind of doing a bit less YouTube content publicly because basically most of the content I'm creating now is actually just for my private students. So if you would like to access much more detailed trainings than this one, where we go quite deep into different things and I show you a lot of instructive games rather than just one, then do make sure to send me an email at illingworthchess@gmail.com. I'll put that in the description as well so you can find it easily enough and spell it correctly. But yeah, it was great to have you on board for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.